Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, Master Grade Kampfer Schwer, or at least that's the Korean pronunciation of that, and I think the second part of the name might be German, so who knows. Anyway, it is good to be back. So for the past few weeks, I have been either busy, number one, going busy, or number two, going to work on weekends, believe it or not, or three, I have been sick. Literally, I have been sick and could not, do anything. So yeah, so for the past few weeks, I have been very, very busy on my, in a way that I was not able to make proper videos and such. Alright, so this kit actually arrived I think like 2 to 3 weeks ago, but once again, every time I try to review it, something happened. So this review is going to be a somewhat simple review because number one, it is still based on the original Master Grade Kampfer. So obviously the articulation is going to be the same. So I will mostly be going through like the differences or what changes has been given to this kit. So once again, so equipment wise, we still get the 2 shotguns and the 2 bazookas, as you can see. And the shotguns, yes, they actually come with you do get 2 shotguns, and both of them can be attached to the back stock if you want to do so. So no changes in there. And once again, hand wise, you get the fist hands, you get the open hands, and the 1.0 Master Grade hands, the one that has the moving fingers, technically the 3, the trigger and the thumb part that moves. So you get that for left and right. And because this is based on an old kit, so you do get one of these action-based adapters. And once again, for those who know the Kampfer's beam sabers are stored in the sides, but kit-wise, what they do is that they only make you store in half of the beam saber hilt. So you need to pull them out and then attach these parts fully to utilize the beam saber effect parts. And then once again, the beam saber effect parts are not your typical straight ones, but a little bit on the curved design here. I believe the original Kampfer also did that as well. And once again, for the stern files are not on the legs, but actually on the arm. Although I do have some questions on the direction of that as well. Once again, those are there. And because you have stern files, you have 2 options, where to have those sticks on or to have these things on. So I think that's to show, to replicate where to show that it's being fired or something maybe. But and once again, anyway, because of the extra storage unit here, you do have this as a leftover piece, so no big deal. And it's because it's based on the old Master Grade Kampfer kit, this thing still uses screws, and this could be a pros or a cons depending on who the person is, but one thing, I have no issues there. Now the Master Grade FOS 1.0, now that's a different story, so yeah. And then we have some water slides, because this is a P-Bandai kit, so usually P-Bandai Master Grade kits do come with water slides as well. So no big deal. So as far as I know, this is supposed to be not like a Universal Sentry mobile suit. The Kampfer is a Universal Sentry mobile suit, but this is like more about build fighter things as far as I know. And a little bit to show some odd parts is that I think they made a mistake on the instruction manual. So they actually gave me this paper where it's written like this, but you have to do actually this. So the only difference here, for if those who don't get anything like this, just make sure when you're building the legs, when you're building the side thrusters that goes onto the side of the legs. Now on the manual on mine, it says just attach this part here, just connect it right here, but before that you need to attach these small thrusters here and then do the rest of the thing. So that's the only parts that's lacking. So, and even though you do miss that, it's not like it's actually visible from the side unless you actually go in there and look at it. So it's not a big error, if you ask me. Alright, so before we go on to the different parts, let's talk about the leftover parts as well, so because that's what I usually do. So, you get some leftover polycaps, no big deal. We've seen these multiple times, no big deal. Alright, so here we have, I believe, the A plate, yeah. So the A plate, you have some leftover parts for the original Kampfer, for the heads. You even get his original antenna, some leftover yellow thrusters and yellow parts here. And I believe you even get the mouse plate, the face part here as well. So yeah, you do get, I think you should have enough parts. So if you do want to actually just make a normal Kampfer head, I think you should be able to do so. But once again, kind of odd to do that. And then we have one of these parts, the H plate, which are these parts, which I have 0 memory on what these do on the original. Alright, and now here we have the, whatchamacallit, We have the A2 plate. Once again, I believe these are the sternfalz holsters that you attach to the legs here. So yeah, they still do have this. So if you want to use it, you can use those as well. Once again, and when I was explaining the weapon part, you might have noticed the Kampfer Schwer does not come with the mine whip or chain mine as well. So once again, I know that's a very iconic weapon for the Kampfer, but once again, kit wise, I never really liked using that as well. So you only get the handle, no wire in one of these parts, just one set. You do get a pilot figurine, but this is just a random, typical common Zeon soldier figurine. And then here we have the waist part. Now some parts has been updated because of some certain changes, but once again, that doesn't really affect the articulation that much, so no big deal. So unless you're a big hardcore Kampfer fan, I'm not sure if you'll be getting this. This is not like a kit that is meant for everyone. And once again, because of certain design changes, we do get a different part here for the top body section, and then obviously different shoulder design, hence these are leftover pieces. And hence also seeing some spikes left over here and there. And once again, because this thing now has a front skirt, yeah, obviously different parts are now used. And then once again, as you can see, the feet are now different. The feet are more, how should I say, of a more Federation style feet, Federation Mobile Suit style feet. So which is why we don't use these gigantic clunky feet anymore. Even the knee parts are slightly different now. We still have one of those spikes, and so on. So same plate because you know you got 2 feet. And then finally this gray part here, which the only part here is this, which I believe has to do something with the cables, that the original cables that goes onto the waist. But once again, there has been changes on the kit, so I'll go over that later. Alright, so those were all the leftover parts. So let's go over the different areas from top to bottom. And for the sake of the review, as you can see, this is almost touching the top section, so I'm gonna take off the bazookas and explain right away one of the big differences here. So let me just take one out. Okay, that's actually the peg is way longer than I've remembered, but oh well. So as you can see, the parts where the bazookas are connected, the original Kampfer would be actually, you would attach it to here where these binders are. So these binders are also on pegs, but the binders itself is also connected to another ball joint here. So we have these wing binders here. So originally you would attach the bazookas here onto the thruster, but now we have these new extra parts on the next to the shoulder area or top body section. So yeah, that's one big difference as well. And we still get the shotgun holster on the back, so no big deal as well. So one of the big difference other than color would be the head. You have another like different forehead design as well, and you have a much more Federation style shoulder armor. So I think that may have been like the concept where this was trying to go for the concept where what if this was like had a little bit more Federation style, like with the shoulders and the feet going on here. So that's just my guess. I haven't read any wiki on this because this thing is now never released in the anime and such, so oh well. Alright, so articulation wise is pretty much the same. Once again, although you still get all the bends here, so all the articulations should be the same, no big difference there. Even the arms going to the side. And once again, you have these clamps to close the sternfalz here. But once again, my big question is, why are they facing backwards? Shouldn't they be forward to fire them? Unless he would grab one, he would take one out from the arm and then fire them individually. So that's just my guess, but once again, it feels a little bit awkward, and then I personally would not feel comfortable if it was like this, because who knows, you're gonna accidentally fire to the back or even to yourself. So that's just me. All right. Now for the body, now the original Kampfer, as far as I remember, had actual mesh cables here. Now they actually changed it into just plastic, so no more cables here. There are pros and cons to this. So the mesh cables, if you do it, you know, perfectly, it's fine, but if you mess it up, it's gonna really look messy. So there are pros and cons to this, so be as you will. And I believe to, you know, increase articulation, they just ended up there. So nothing that's holding from the back. So you still get the nice ab crunch going on here, going side to side, no problem. Even 360 is no problem as well. And yes, for those who are wondering, you still do get the opening cockpit gimmick as well. So no big deal. And head-wise, you still have the same, pretty much the same style. I mean, the same format. So no big difference there. You can go up, down, side to side, no big deal. And then once again, the mono eye is a nice clear red plastic, clear plastic. We're more close to pink, but you get my idea. Now, another big change here was the shoulders. Now, the shoulders are now, once again, these are separate shoulders. So what I mean by separate shoulders is that the shoulder armor is not attached to the actual arm, but it's actually just a separate piece from the arm. So they will move a little bit individually, so make sure you're moving them together when you're moving them around. Now, the only issue is that are these flaps for the left arm, because of the certain files are gonna hit them a lot. So you wanna like either put them upwards or make sure you're just angling them properly. So that's that. And as you can see, I think I had this issue with the original Kampfer, is that these thrusters, the way how they're structured, they do tend to pop out a little bit easier than I expected. So oh well. All right, and now for the front skirts, it's kind of odd to give like the Kampfer front skirts because the leg structure is not really, the leg design you would see, it's not really meant for front skirts. But once again, they are there now. So going forward, that's actually a good plus sign. No big deal. Luckily, there's no back skirt, but once again, having back skirts would not make sense because we have these thrusters, which you are able to pull out like the previous Master Grade as well. Although they are slightly, how should I say, stiff. So do as you will. And then the beam sabers are stored here. It's slightly tricky to pull out, but once again, you pull them out and then you attach the other part of the beam saber, and then now you have a beam saber. Kind of odd. I think it's just the length issue that they couldn't put in a entire length one. But once again, I think if they ever make a 2.0, I would like to see them fix that issue as well. Now for the legs, there has been some design changes here. So a little bit more smooth design going on here. A little bit longer knee protectors here. And then articulation is still the same, pretty much the same, although the Kampfer legs were not really meant to bend because of the side design going on here as well. And we have these parts onto the side here, which we have more thrusters, basically more thrusters going on here. So I assume that they wanted to increase the mobility of this thing. Now, the Kampfer is, as you can see, is a powerhouse in terms of firepower, but once again, lacks a lot in terms of defense. Even in games, it shows that aspect. So I think they were trying to like improvise a few parts here and there because it's build fighters. And once again, feet are your typical feet. Well, you can go down that much, go forward, and then should have a decent pivot joint, although you can see the gigantic knee joint there as well. So articulation wise, you should have no problems as well. All right, so once again, I won't mess that up. The only downside I'm having is that I'm not sure it's the joint, or maybe I didn't tighten up one of the screws here, is that the legs don't seem to be stable. I mean, it can stand on its own, but once again, it tends to like wobble time to time. So not sure what is going on there. All right, so I think I'm gonna end it off after doing a few more poses, and yeah, because once again, basically this is not a 2.0 Kampfer. It's basically using the same inner frame with some different outer parts as well. So if you have the Master Grade Kampfer, you know what to expect from this kit. So yeah, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't done an Kampfer Amazing yet, or Amazing Kampfer, which I keep forgetting, messing up that name at this point. Alright, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the basic shotgun pose as well, and I wanted to see if it can actually hold the shotgun without anything colliding with each other, and apparently it works way better than I expected. So number one, even with the stern files, granted they are colliding with the knee here, but once again, if I would extend this a little bit up forward, I guess that collision would be less of a problem as well, and it does not affect actually the shotgun itself. So well done. And despite those wing binders, since they do move a little bit easily, so despite how they are colliding with the bazookas constantly, you can always move them around. And even with the extra shotgun stored into the back skirt, still no big issues there. So once again, holding the weapon in this way is no big problem as well. So that is a good part. Once again, one of the issues I personally have with the Kampfer is that because it has so many weapons, it definitely in the long run felt a little bit clunky or a little bit messy because all the weapons are like jangling around. But still, That is what the Kampfer is pretty much about, so no, I can't say much to that. And despite the 1.0 style hands, they do hold the shotgun pretty okay for now. Although the trigger finger does seem a little bit, splitting a little bit, but I don't think that should be a big problem as well. All right, I think I'm gonna test out the bazooka, and we're gonna end off there. Okay, I'm back. So here's the final part. So number one, despite the new Federations-ish or the new design shoulders, holding the bazooka is no problem. Granted, it is the 1.0 type hand, so it may feel or look a bit awkward to hold it. Once again, it works, and actually because of the gigantic shoulders or the proportion-wise, the bazooka seems a little bit small for the Kampfer, so who knows. Now the issue is more with the beam saber. So after holding the beam saber itself, no big deal. Now it's just the collision of the stern files is the biggest issue here. So every time I try to go for a pose or do something, it constantly collides with the back stuff actually, or with the shotgun, the bazooka, or sometimes even the wing binders depending how I move it, or it just collides with the handle here. These handles colliding with this if I actually move the handwards like that, and then this thing falls out. So that is a little bit of limitations here. So while it does look cool to have the stern files on the arm, though personally I would feel a bit uncomfortable, but still, yeah, so I think it would have been better if they just kept it here, which you can technically do. So once again, really up to your preference and style of terms of where you want to put your weapons. Anyway, that is pretty much it for the review. So the Kampfer Schwer, it's a very nice kit, but although instead of a mass grade, I would like to actually see this in a mass grade format. I mean, in a high grade format, because once again, I believe the HGUC Kampfer Amazing was pretty good, and which I should assume the HGUC Kampfer itself is also pretty good as well. So yeah, in general, I think nobody had issues with the HGUC Kampfer in general. So yeah, I would like to see the Schwer in HG format in the future as well, because I feel like, if it's build fighters, I feel like they should have done an HG rather than mass grades. Granted, we have had some build fighters with mass grades, but it just, doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was a somewhat simple review because once again, articulation is pretty much the same. I don't think I needed to go all over again regarding the Kampfer as well because it is an old kit at this point. But it still holds out. Although there are some iffy parts, but once again, it could be just mine. Anyway, I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out. So please stay tuned. And until then, see you guys next time.